pricing matters from one region to another in India? I mean, first of all, does it differ? And my second question is, should it differ?
Yes, definitely. It does differ and it should differ. An influencer who's living in Bombay will and should be able to charge you more than an influencer. Same engagement driver living in, let's say, a tier 2 city or it can be a tier 1 city but not a metro.
I believe currently influencers work on digital platforms that allows them to reach global audiences, right? So is location really a determinant in what kind of monetization they can get from their content?
They will give me viewers, they will give me awareness, but because of certain barriers will diminish my efficiency of the campaign.
Hello and welcome to Kofluence Unplugged. I'm your host Aritra, of course. Now, today we are diving into a topic that stirs plenty of debate in the influencer marketing world, which is how much is a piece of content actually worth? Yes, we are going there. Now, from your eye catching Instagram posts to viral videos, figuring out how to put a price tag on content could be just as tricky as creating it, right? So, let's demystify this whole situation. And joining me in this discussion today, we have Avinash, who has seen his fair share of trials and tribulations in the marketing field, considering his experience across different industries. Currently, he's leading marketing communications at IndKal Technologies, where he drives innovative strategies for Acer Television. So, without any further ado, please join me in welcoming Avinash. Hi, Avinash, how are you doing?
I'm good, Aritra. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good. For all the viewers out here, today we are logging in from Bangalore. So, how are you from Bangalore originally?
No, I'm not from Bangalore. I do work here.
Okay.
Been here, I think, for the past 3 years. Still trying to figure out and navigate the ins and outs of Bangalore. So, yeah, you can treat me as a newbie only for
Okay.
Bangalore. Yeah.
How's the weather looking like currently?
Initially, the promises were all met, but I think this year is totally new. I think it's a surprise for all of us.
Definitely.
Figuring out, yeah, like I said, still trying to learn how to be a true Bangalorean. Yeah. Yeah.
Great. So, I think Avinash, it would be great if you can tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, what you do, a little bit about your career, your background.
Okay. So currently, I work at IndKal Technologies. I am the marketing head for the company. There are a couple other different functions that I look after. So our company is a licensor for Acer and Black and Decker. So I also see licensor management, and of course, communication also covers PR. So I look after that as well. I'm a mechanical engineer. Did my mechanical engineering back in 2010. From there, the first job that I started off was with the Jindal Steels and Power Limited. So I was into steel manufacturing in their Chhattisgarh plant. Was there for about 4 years. Then got transferred into marketing and sales. Was stationed at the Mumbai office. Sold steel then for almost good three to 4 years. After that, I did my MBA. Then worked with a brand called Compaq. 90s kid would remember it. We launched Compact televisions in India. Me and my few of my other colleagues that we were working over there. After that, joined IndKal, came to Bangalore. Been running Acer televisions, I think, for the past 3 years. Right now, it's the been able to drive it to the fifth highest selling television brand in the country. Developing Acer large appliances as well and Black and Decker large appliances. Seeing where they grow from there.
Great, that's awesome. Uh, so you are a brand marketer, right? You have done marketing, you have done communications, PR. You have also had a fair bit of experience with influencer marketing as well. Today we're diving into a topic, I think, which is very, very debatable, something that's talked about a lot, and that is influencer pricing, right? How much is a piece of content actually worth? So let's jump into the discussion.
Yeah, sure.
Now, when it comes to influencer pricing, I think a lot of brand marketers and creators themselves find it very puzzling, right? In your experience, why do you think there is a lot of discussions around what is a piece of content worth? Why are there these complexities? Is it because that the industry is still maturing? When I say industry, I mean the influencer marketing industry. Is it because there is no price standardization as of now? There's no price. There's no universal marketplace for influencer marketing. Could it be that, or are there different factors at play? Would you say?
Okay. So I think influencer marketing is still at an infancy stage in India. There are very few niche influencers that are out there who might have figured out how the entire game works. But everything else and everybody else is still, first of all, they are looking at them and learning and still trying to figure out what their niche would be, in which they might start building content and then start moving forward and scaling their own brand and their own content creation journey. So since we are still learning, that's why putting a price and monetizing it becomes very difficult, because you yourself don't know what my worth would be, right? It's always gauged and assessed based a different or a leveled out influencer. So if, let's say, there are two influencers, one is with 1 million followers, the other also is with 1.5 million followers. So I might gauge my value or my monetization capabilities based that particular influencer's monetization capabilities, right? But I think content, what I'm creating, and the engagement of the content and the value of the content, that should be the one that decides an influencer's first of all how much he or she should be able to monetize it, right? And then the second pillar for it should be the content that I'm creating. What value is it driving for? If it's for a brand, then for the brand. If it's for a particular product, then for the product. Or if it's only for me, let's say I'm creating content to propagate and to build my own brand, right? So am I actually getting value out of the content that I'm creating?
Definitely. I think also from a brand marketer's POV, because influencer pricing is so it's fluctuating in nature, right? I mean, that is definitely a big challenge for them. In fact, we recently had a new research report come out from Kofluence called Decoding Influence, wherein we found that for almost all the brand marketers that we spoke to and we surveyed, lack of price standardization was the biggest challenge that they faced, which was very telling. Right, it could be, as I mentioned earlier, it could be because there is no standardized pricing across the industry. Influencer marketing in itself works in a very nebulous space. So because of that, brand marketers usually don't know, when they do influencer campaigns, how much should I actually be paying to these influencers. And that is where a big challenge arises, because they have their own budget allocations, and to actually know how much to pay each influencer then becomes very challenging. There are a lot of factors at play here as well. Like the nature of campaign varies, right? What kind of campaign you are doing? Is it a product promotion campaign, a service related campaign, which platform you are targeting? Pricing definitely varies based on all of these factors. Even the kind of influencers you work with. Some influencers charge a premium more so than the others based on the niche that they cater to. Maybe that niche is exclusive, right? Even the production quality and the content quality has a big factor on how much content is priced. So definitely all of these elements add a layer to these challenges, right? And pricing being a very confusing thing for most brand marketers. So I understand one side of it wherein you talk about creators that they might not know how to price their content. On the flip side of it, brand marketers again don't know how to pay influencers. So definitely it is a big challenge, I think, that needs to be fixed. What do you say?
It is a challenge when you see it only from the vantage point of a creator and a brand, right? Because here I have to generate certain amount of awareness or sales, because those are the only two things that would matter to me. And here I want to extract as much as value as I want from the content that I'm creating, because that's my lifeline, right? So creator side definitely is very difficult for them to, unless they reach a certain level of uh, uh, awareness for themselves, it's very difficult for them to gauge their own potential, right? That's why many mid-level, or when they reach a certain followership, or they can consider themselves a mid-level influencer, they collaborate, or they have agencies or managers who then take care of the sales part of it, because there can be a case made that artist can never indulge or be able to carry forward the sales part of it, right? Because मेरा दिमाग वैसे नहीं चलता है. Then so that's the route that the creator would follow. From the brand side, see, the brand will never accept uh, any ceiling to the pricing of the content, right? Because they want to extract as much as value from the buck they are spending, or whatever they are spending, they want the maximum value out of it. If they are getting a budget of, let's say, 50,000 rupees even, they want to extract multiple, or should be able to accomplish multiple different exercise from that particular 50,000. So because they then will say ki itne budget mein I got this much amount, the basic human tendency, getting more out of what you're spending. I think from the brand side, they should understand what they want to achieve from the influencer activity, or the influencer campaign that they are running, because brand awareness is a different engagement altogether. Product awareness is a different engagement. Product review is a different engagement. Just plugging in an influencer in your overall marketing campaign as a peg on one particular leg, that again is a different sort of engagement. If you're looking for brand awareness, I think, or just the product awareness bit, you cannot put a ceiling to how much you are spending, right? Because it's, you yourself won't be able to gauge the performance of the content, because there'll be uh, at least 5 or 6 different elements attached to it. You will never, and most of those elements, there is not a single matrix that can give you a number, would be able to quantify it.
I think with conversion led campaigns, it's pretty advantageous from the brand's POV because they are paying for something that they get in return, and that is very, very tangible. Usually, a conversion, it could be a click, a registration, a sales. There are multiple KPIs to gauge what that conversion might look like. Uh, in your experience, do you think performance based pricing models are justified from the creator's point of view?
A case can be made from both the sides, because I want efficiency here on the brand side, and on the creator side is I want the full value for my content, right? And beyond a certain point, once I've created the content, it's out there, it has a life of its own, and after a certain stage, the creator won't be able to control how it grows, right? In what way it's growing, where it's growing, because whatever content is created, let's say if it's around a product, right? Uh, for example, a very, very particular or a dedicated product would be adult diapers, right? If somebody is getting hold of a senior creator, right, who is promoting this particular bit, even though if that creator has, let's say, 25 to 30 million followers, but because of the nature of the product, their content might not see the life which maybe a fashion or a health or a travel or just a lifestyle, healthy lifestyle or well-being campaign might achieve, then this particular, because of the virtue of the product, right? Now the brand will definitely come and say ki, you promised us this much views, you promised us this much likes, you promised us this much clicked to the website or traffic to the website. We only achieved 60 or a 70% of it. And so in our eyes, the campaign or the collaboration might be a failure. A creator who has more than 2 digits of millions of followers, even that creator would be overshadowed by anything done by a very big juggernaut of an entity. Huh? A new movie that's coming up, a big attached big names, a new studio might be releasing a new movie. So you can never gauge how this ecosystem is performing on in what phase that ecosystem is, right? But all of this, and there are more n number of elements attached to it, the brand will never understand these elements. For them, it will always boil down to the essentials of it, whether my traffic was there or not, whether did I not get enough conversions or not.
I think what we also see is in terms of reception to performance based pricing, usually, these mega and celeb influencers typically are not very accepting of these models because they have a broader reach, they have good amount of demand in the market. So they usually have very structured payment systems and rate cards, and they pretty much demand money upfront. So for them, it might not work out. But then there's on another sector of influencers, as you mentioned, these nano, macro, micro influencers who might be looking to expand their portfolio of work with better brands, and these performance-led campaigns could be a good way to do it. And what we have also seen is that usually these nano micro influencers have even better reach and engagement. When I say engagement, it's basically the amount of people who actually engage with them on a regular basis through likes, through comments, right? So their engagement levels are even higher than these megas and celebs. So brands can definitely tap into that market and lead their performance marketing campaigns through this channel of influencers. So there is definitely a way to go about it.
Yeah,
Right?
you always have to, brands always have to understand uh, who are they talking to. They do understand. Huh? They'll have 10 different studies identifying their target demographic, their target market, right? But when it comes to selecting an influencer, that becomes very tricky, right? Because most of the influencer, to increase their reach, to increase their content propagation, they are making not a particular niche driven content but holistic content, more so now than when we start the influencer marketing started off. There were tech influencers, there were fashion, there were beauty, and travel influencers. These were the only niches that were there. But now it's a hybrid model or a hybrid content creator that's out there. They'll cover anything and everything, right? So first of all, the brand needs to understand that if we are selecting this particular influencer, although they might be making different content, more overarching content, but this is the perfect demographic that they speak with or resonate with.
Right, right. Yeah, digging in a bit deeper, we spoke about the category of influencers. Now, when it comes to influencer pricing, do you think pricing matters from one region to another in India? I mean, first of all, does it differ? And my second question is, should it differ?
Yes, definitely. It does differ and it should differ. An influencer who's living in Bombay will and should be able to charge you more than an influencer, uh, same engagement driver, living in, let's say, in a deeper or a tier 2 city, or it can be a tier 1 city but not a metro, in, let's say, in Madhya Pradesh or maybe a Gujarat, because the amount of in content creation in itself is a very difficult job, right? uh, Again, more so now than it was previously. You have to ideate on it, you have to write scripts, there has to be a crew to shoot it, right? Then there is video editing, then you're able to put it out, right? So behind the scenes a lot of work actually goes, if it's a good influencer or a good content creator, right? And if the content has to be engaging and more resonate more with the newer audience that's there, who is every day, because they are not confined to only, they are not seeing कि मुझे सिर्फ इंडिया बेस्ड इन्फ्लुएंसर्स का कंटेंट दिख रहा है, they have the entire world, right? And the content that they're seeing is from the entire world. So every day, not even every day, every minute, they are looking at content that's in some way newer or has more engagement or has more, let's say, pre-production or behind the scene work that has gone into it, right? So they are not confined, or so they know that this content is out there, somebody is building it, right? So if an inferior content is presented to them, they might not be engaging enough with it. So the influencers have to constantly be evolving themselves and put in a lot of work in building a certain amount of content. Now, if if the same amount of content is built in a tier 2 or a city that's not that evolved, the amount of work would be the same, but the money that's actually being spent by the two is different. Plus, they're living in a metro, a tier 1 metro. Other costs are also become a factor, or which one might not be a factor over there. So there should be a difference in pricing, and there must be a difference in pricing for the both.
While I do agree with that, I will give you another perspective here. Uh, so currently, as you mentioned, state-wise, region-wise, there are pricing according to you should be different. Now, I believe currently influencers work on digital platforms that allows them to reach global audiences, right? So is location really a determinant in what kind of monetization they can get from their content? Because anyway they have access to a huge audience, a global audience, and where they are operating from does not really impact that side of it, right? Currently there are so many channels from these remote tier 3 tier 2 cities that are doing extremely well. They are raking in views in millions and they have very niche following, right? It's safe to say now there is an audience for every kind of content, and so that they're doing very well for themselves. So when it comes to monetization and how well they monetize their content, is location really something that's playing a part in it, when they have access to an audience and anybody sitting anywhere can be watching your content and you can make money out of it? So what is your view on that?
I think, yeah, location will always have a factor or a say in it. Because, see, I'll use an example to prove it. there is a channel, Village Cooking Channel. Uh, uh, 4 or 5 guys, I think from a south district, they cook food in your fields where you actually work, right? And they have, I think, 20, a good 35 to 40 million followers on YouTube, and every video sees more than a million amount of viewers every video, right? Now, their content is very good. It's very organic. It's very rooted into their everyday and basic life. That's why the authenticity is driven from there, and everybody sees the content. Now, if I am a masala brand, right? Uh, where I have to promote my brand across the country. I might be, yeah, let's say across the country. Now, when I'm engaging with them, because they have a huge amount of followership, and they are most suited for the niche that I want to target, they will give me viewers, they will give me awareness. But because of certain barriers, right? The language being one, the way of cooking being two, the way of just looking at the content, right? Engaging with the content, the type of content that create, will diminish my efficiency of the campaign.
But don't you think brand marketers are the ones who usually pick the influencers they want to work with? And they have, if they have opted to work with a channel like that, they must know what they are going to get in return in terms of, say, here, as you said, the product attributes come into the picture, and how many of these audiences are actually going to convert then becomes a question. But if they have opted in to work with these influencers in the first place, shouldn't they be compensated fairly in terms of their other tier 1, tier 2 counterparts? And
They should be compensated adequately and fairly for the amount of work that they've done and the value that they drive. I'm not negating that part. I'm just saying, if you compare two influencers, if you are setting up your pyramid of influencer, if there are two A level influencer, right? So anything beyond 15 million, you might consider as an A level influencer, right? One, just by the virtue of their language and the type of content and the way they present their content, is able to cater to a larger audience, right? And one of them, because of certain elements, might be seen by many people but will not drive the conversion over there, right? Will not be able to communicate the benefits of the product to a larger audience or the entire universal set that they have. I will take these factors into perspective when I am setting up the rates for them. Influencer who only, let's say, speak or delivers the content in English, because you said it's open for the entire world to see, is spreading awareness of my product to the entire world. Not today, not tomorrow, maybe 3 years or 6 months, or maybe 1 year or 3 year down the line, I might getting inquiries from other countries as well, right? Same will not happen if there are certain barriers to my content when a global audience is engaging with it.
okay, I think there are a lot of perspectives on this. While I do agree with your perspective, I think there is another way to look at it as well. But I think we leave it on to the audiences to
Yeah,
take a call on how they want to go
yes,
about
yes,
their
yes, definitely.
influencer pricing in terms of campaigns, and in terms of region-wise disparities and variations. So we'll move on to something again that's very controversial right now, which is barter collaborations.
Okay.
So for those who are unaware, barter collaborations are campaigns basically wherein brand marketers pay influencers with products or services instead of actual monetary compensation, right? So they send them products or services for them to review and put it out on their social media, but they don't get any monetary exchange in return. So, Avinash, what's your perspective on on barter collaborations? Now we see a lot of creators reject brand collaborations that have that barter element because they think it's undermining their value. It's not giving them the bang for their buck. What is your opinion on it? Do you see the value in it?
Again, it will be an inside and outside perspective attached to it. Let's say if I'm a mid-level influencer, right? Now there are two mobile phone brands who want to engage with me, huh, on a barter collaboration. One is a newly launched brand, and one is from the tier one echelon of the brands. Being a content creator, I want to be seen engaging with certain brands, be it at any level, but engaging with those brands so that my the branding side of my, or the credibility side of my content creation journey also gets propagated, also gets value attached to it, right? Because of it's a prestigious thing to attach to work with those brands. What I believe, if the tier one category of that mobile brand will offer me a barter deal, I will happily do it, because it's just a avenue for me to work with it. I'm getting a new, the most latest mobile as well, and I can create multiple levels of content with just one product, right? At least 3 or 4 videos I can create. Initial views, unboxing, initial review, 6 months review, 1 year review. There are 5 pieces of content you just got from that one particular product. And the newer, the brand that is launching newly, since their awareness or their presence in the market is not that much, there I will feel apprehension in collaborating with them on a barter level, because it's an exercise only for me. It's a transaction between the two of us. I might be able to develop certain number of content from it, but the traction that I'll get from the 5 pieces of content that I've created for that brand will be much higher, much bigger than what I'll get over here. Here, the overall ROI will only be for the brand, right? Because I am, in a way, in a bigger position for them, and I am actually doing service to them. On the other side, the brand is doing a service to me by giving me an opportunity to attach myself to it.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, when asked about whether these barter collaborations are worth it or not, I think it depends on whom you ask and where their priorities lie at the end of the day,
And
right?
who is asking also?
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So, I think we have covered the pricing bit of it from both the performance and the barter side of things now. As you, I think, mentioned earlier, a lot of influencers today work with these agencies, talent management agencies, individual managers as well. And we have seen that the kind of commission or the kind of cut that they take out of the commercial is sometimes very high. It could be lower as well. But do you think, given the kind of services and basically the benefits that they offer, their commissions are justified? If I'm a budding content creator, should I be partnering with a manager, or should I take care of the entire journey by myself and figure it out on my own?
Okay, my perspective would be, if you are a new content creator, your content is everything for you. That's your vehicle on which you'll be going from one place to the other. You will be rising from just starting up to becoming something. How much value you are able to put on it and drive it better should serve you for everything that you have to drive, right? And if you truly are a content creator, if you have all the belief in your capabilities and you are dedicated to it, then your content should speak and should be the only vehicle that drives you forward. But yes, cheat codes are always there. Collaborating with an agency, working with a manager does give you benefits, will give you, let's say, if the first person who is only letting their content speak will have a will take 1 to 2 years to reach a certain point, whereas if a content creator straightforward the starting of it attaches themselves to an agency or to a manager, talent management thing, they would be able to reach that point much sooner and much faster than a content creator. But the value that the other person, the who is only focusing on their content, is able to develop, I believe would be far longer and far better than the one that the one who is attached to the agency develops. Because what happens is, through an agency you will always be creating content in a confined set of guidelines. There'll be rules, guidelines, restrictions from the brand side, whosoever you're collaborating with, from that particular person on your content. They'll have a lot of say in your content when you're creating it.
Now, before we wrap this conversation up, Avinash, for all the fellow marketers and brands that are currently listening to this podcast, what would you advise them? Would they rather take up the price negotiation bid by themselves, or do you see value in partnering with influencer marketing platforms, tech platforms that are already working with influencers and might have a good historical database with them in terms of pricing? Which route do you think is the best way to go?
Okay. So I believe it would depend a lot on your campaign. If it's a brand building campaign, then you would want to engage with fewer influencers because it will be a long term engagement, and somebody who understands would be able to understand the values and the core ideas of the brand and would be able to create content in propagating it. So definitely that narrows down the pool a lot, right? But if it's purely around product, around conversion, around a certain key parameter that you want to achieve or drive, right, with respect to your product, then I believe working with a platform would serve you better rather than you going around chasing influencers on your own. It will improve the efficiency of your team, of the money that you are investing a lot in will as well, and will be, you know, will make the overall delivery of the campaign much more easier and faster. From what I've learned about the platforms is that, first of all, the insights that they are able to give you, that those insights on your own you will never be able to draw or gauge, right? So everything has to have data to, for you to be able to make certain inferences and then move forward with it. So you have to take actionable insights and then move forward with them. Working with a platform has to serve you well, given the amount of influencer they are able to bring you, just you by going on the platform, and all the insights of each influencer is there, able to gauge it right there and then, so you'll be able to make the decision on the influencer. Plus, the overall delivery, it reduces the time a lot.
Yeah. I think also with a lot of platforms like Kofluence as well, there are a lot of mechanisms in place like your predictive analysis. There is ML that constantly gives that feedback loop. There are also bid mechanisms. A lot of platforms have bids that influencers can place. So there are a lot of different avenues that can be explored. And we have definitely seen this echoing sentiment in brand marketers. In a recent report that we created, we saw that almost 67% of brand marketers that we surveyed and spoke to preferred influencer marketing platforms over in-house campaigns. So definitely, I think that's something that a lot of brand marketers are also relating
Yes,
with.
yes. Uh, that's something that everybody should explore, and I think the platforms also have to do something about talking about themselves. Very few people actually, what I believe, very few people know that these platforms do actually exist. In a tech driven city like Bangalore or maybe Mumbai or even Delhi or NCR, there, since the ecosystem is as such that you come across people who someone might mention to you that a certain type of platform like Kofluence exists, right? Then you'll get to know, oh, I should work with them. But a majority, I would say 80 to 90% of people who are engaging with influencers are not aware of such platforms being available.
Totally agreed. Now, we usually like to end our episodes with a small rapid fire round. So, the only ask is the questions, the answers should be rapid and they
Yeah.
should have a little bit of fire, hopefully.
Okay.
So,
I think that's
my
a standard, yeah.
yeah, definitely. My first question to you is Instagram or YouTube, which is your most preferred social media platform?
Instagram.
Okay. If this is something we've asked all of our guests now at this point, I think. If you could name a fictional character, who do you think would be a really good influencer? Who would
Batman.
that be? Batman.
Yes.
Why so?
He's very driven and he's very intelligent. He has the access to technology very well. He would be able to drive narratives very well and be able to understand your the requirements from the brand or wherever it is, and will be able to deliver it. The inference power is very good.
Okay. So,
Superman can be a good influencer purely because his strength and that he can fly, but after a certain amount of time he would lose interest, so he would have to do something to keep the people engaged, but
Yeah.
Batman would be able to do that.
Batman is more consistent.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Meme marketing. Do you think it's genius or do you think there's a business risk attached there?
It's genius. Again, not for all the brands to do it, but for young, for more peppy and youth-centric, Gen Z-centric brands, your go-to thing to do.
Okay. A recent marketing tactic that you came across recently, which you found very interesting.
I think the ephemeral content that's there. Very recently got to know about it, and it is something that's extremely interesting. I'm not sure many people actually know about it, but yeah, something worth exploring a lot.
Definitely.
Yes.
One mistake you think most brands make on social media?
They talk about their product a lot. They don't make content engaging enough, which will deliver a holistic approach rather than just saying ki my product is the best, my product does this, my product does this, my product does this. You have to have a more overarching and a more universal approach to your social media rather than just your product.
Totally agreed. And finally, one word that you think would best describe the future of branding and marketing in India. Just one word.
AI.
Interesting.
I don't know it's one word or not, but yeah, AI.
AI. Yeah,
Yes.
it's an abbreviation.
Yes.
Makes sense. Okay. Avinash, thank you so much for being here with us today. I think we had a very delightful conversation, and I'm sure our viewers might have learned a few things from our discussion. So, thank you so much. How was your experience like?
No, thank you. Made it very easy for the conversation to continue. So thank you a lot. I really had a wonderful time.
Anything you would like to say to the audiences?
Just keep following Kofluence's podcast. You'll get a lot of insights and be able to understand, to navigate the influencer and the brand marketing ecosystem much better.
Great. Thank you so much, Avinash.
Thank you. Thank
See
you.
you.
Yeah,
See you later.
sure.
And with that, we're at the end of the episode. A big shout out to all you lovely listeners who tune in every episode. You guys are the best. Now, before you hit pause, did you know that the new influencer marketing report by Kofluence called Decoding Influence is out right now? And guess what? You can download it for free. Now, if you really want to know how much influencers are currently making based on their platform, based on their following, then you might want to check it out. You will know where you stand. So, without any further ado, check out the description box. The link is there. Download it right now. I'll see you next time. Until then, stay happy, stay kind, and keep co-fluencing. Bye.